home after surviving a gunshot to the head. Cash was hit while sleeping beside his mom during a gang-related shooting. After 2 months in the hospital, he's recovering and faces one more surgery. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Wake up, New Orleans. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanti Fayed. Shout out to my super producer, Nara.
Aaron. Good morning, New Orleans.
I don't know what, but is it
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Listen, the show is going to be dynamic. We get to talk to our friend, Victor Sims, at the 8 o'clock hour, but at the 7:20 mark, we'll hear from Daisy Reyes Cabral, Municipal ID Program Manager, and Kalita Lloyd, the Director of Office of Human Rights and Equity out the Mayor's Office, talking about the Crescent City ID program. I think this is the program that the governor said was the stupidest thing he's ever seen. Is
Yes.
that what that was? Oh, okay. So then we'll get, Victor Sims, because he has a way of regulating all of our emotions and making certain that we are able to function in a very healthy manner. So he'll be here until the end of the show. We always need more time with Victor, so we get to talk to him for the entire 8 o'clock hour. So I am excited about that. I also heard through the news that I watched, so you don't have to, Gabriel Montano, the former CAO of the city of New Orleans, has a new job.
Absolutely.
And I believe he's going to be working for the Audubon Nature Institute as of September. That didn't take long.
No.
That didn't take long at all.
Nope.
Gabriel Montano, who resigned from his role as New Orleans Chief Administrative Officer in late July, will be the Chief of Staff at Audubon Nature Institute in September if that entity's board approves. That's what if that entity board approves. I heard this Mr. Montano was going to the zoo a couple days ago, so I'm certain that they're going to approve this. I hear I aside from the struggles of the city, I hear really positive things about Mr. Montano.
I think he's done a good job as CEO. That's a really tough job under any mayor.
Yeah.
You go between the mayor and the council on many things, and you play point to lead the leaders of our major departments, whether it's Department of Public Works or whatever else. And you got to keep the trains rolling and be on top of the money.
Well,
as we know.
Well, he's going to oversee all the operations for Audubon, a collection of parks, museums, and environmental attractions throughout New Orleans, including the Audubon Zoo, said Audubon spokesperson Melissa Lee. So he's over all of the operations for Audubon. His start date is September 2nd. According to the Audubon spokesperson, Montano announced his resignation from City Hall on July 30th, ending his 7-year tenure as the city's most senior official beneath Mayor LaToya Cantrell, during which he shepherded the city's budget through a pandemic, federal aid injections, and soaring inflations. Montano, who increasingly broke with Cantrell and other administration officials over city decisions in recent months, announced his resignation 5 months before the close of Cantrell's final term. What do you make of the timing of when? Is it just that the other opportunity presented itself? Because, 5 months into an 8-year, basically, tenure with the city, 5 months, folk were like, why at this moment?
Well, whether it's a city administration, state administration, or federal administration, one of the things that happens immediately after a re-election into the second term is the people who were committed in the campaign and the first term start to transition to some other roles outside of that government leadership. And then you have folks who signed up for 6 years or so, so the first term plus half of the next term. And it's a good idea for some people, career-wise, to exit before the end of the term so that they're in the best position in their current role to find a good landing spot. Now, there are those who want to stick and stay to the end, but this happens frequently in the last 6 to 9 months of a second term.
Well, according to the report, the Institute had been without an operational director since former Chief Operating Officer Kyle Burks left Audubon in November. That's nearly a year. They've been without a Chief Operating Officer. It says Montano will also oversee ambitious the project to turn the former Esplanade Avenue and Governor Nichols Street wharfs into a riverfront recreational area at the edge of the French Quarter that will link Crescent Park on the Downs Riverside with the Moonwalk and Waldenburg Park upriver. The work on Governor Nichols Street Wharf is underway, according to the Audubon spokesperson. That'll be the first big thing that comes online once Gilbert gets started. So I would consider that a soft place to land.
I think it's a
Don't you think?
fabulous place to
Congratulations to the former
fabulous place to
CAO
land.
of the city of New Orleans, Mr. Gilbert Montano.
and this is a significant moment for the Institute because Ron Foreman has been leading that organization for like 50 years. And then the guy, Michael Swire, who was leading the convention center, became his successor. And so now Michael has identified Gilbert as his strong number two. So this is the new leadership team taking the reins and moving things forward. And I'm sure that's part of why this position was vacant, because they needed to conclude who the CEO would be first and let him or her choose that number two person.
Well, there's some new things going on at the 4400 General Maya Avenue, which is at Nakar High School. My little brother, I call him my little brother because we went to CAR at the same time, but he was younger than me. But he is Coach Chris Price at this moment. Coach Chris Price is the new girls' head basketball coach at Nakar High School. It is such a full circle moment. Chris and I
Nice.
played basketball for CAR. He played for the boys. I played for the girls. He has a wonderful basketball IQ. He has a love for the game, and he has a love for quirky socks. That's his signature
Oh, cool.
coaching little thing that he does. He wears these little funky socks all the time, but he's a heck of a basketball coach. He has a wonderful foundation, as he did play for the Bernard Robertson at Nakar. And so I think it's a wonderful pickup. It's a wonderful hire. Coach Antoine led the girls to a magnificent, could not say that word to save my soul this morning,
You got it.
season. Coach Antoine, I believe his daughter is going away to college. And maybe that's the reason for the transition. But nevertheless, he was a wonderful asset for CAR, wonderful coach. He laid a wonderful foundation that I know without a shadow of a doubt that Coach Chris Price is gonna pick up and run with. I couldn't be more proud of that young man. So Edna Carr girls basketball team has a new head coach and former CAR alum, Chris Price. He's had a remarkable run as an assistant coach for various programs, and now he gets to head his own program. He's a 5-time district champion. I mean, he has the accolades. I read his resume in terms of basketball last night, but I didn't need his resume because I actually played with him, and I've been watching him go through the stages of earning a top coaching spot. And so I know the former coaching staff over at CAR, led by Coach Bernard Robertson. I know that they're extremely, extremely proud of Coach Chris Price, as are we, the alum of Edna Carr. So it's a full circle moment. It's a welcome home moment for Coach Price. He will head the girls. And I, once again, will shout out Coach Antoine. He did a wonderful job setting the foundation for continual success in the girls program. So I'm excited. I think they're on the precipice of a state championship. We've gotten close, just no cigar. So
Well-
hopefully we can light them up this time.
Well, it's wonderful when you can see student to college to early career
Yeah.
to assistant ranks to taking over your team and having that opportunity and see that homegrown talent get the opportunity. I mean, so often, we have good talented people come from other places, but in this case, this is a wonderful move for a great guy, great coach.
He's a wonderful coach, and I also
I want to see
neglected
some of these socks.
Yeah, they're nice. Coach Rock also, Coach Rock and Coach Bernard Robinson worked as a team. The gym floor is actually named in honor of Coach Bill Robinson. So I know that this is a wonderful addition to the staff. I am extremely proud of him, and I think there's no bigger dream than to do what you love at the place that helped build you into the young man that you currently are. And so I think it warms his heart. I think this may be, when it comes down to dream jobs, on this level, this is a dream job. For anybody that walk those halls and understand what pride is. They instill that in us every single day at 33, 32. And so now he gets to continue that winning legacy, that pride, that excellence over on General Maya Avenue at 4400. So congratulations to the girls basketball team and a wonderful acquisition in Coach Chris Price. I'm proud of him. But yeah, I think when I hear about people getting into places where they dream to be in, it warms my heart. Because, you work your whole career for certain things, and then this, I think, is a launching pad to do what he initially wanted to do. And I love the fact that a lot of these high schools, my high school in particular, I know St. Augustine does the same thing. I love to see them pick up alum. Like, this is your product. Like, you help, build them up. And so to see folk want to come back to an institution that helped raise them says a lot about the institution.
Yep.
So, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And sometimes, let's face it, sometimes it doesn't work out. But in a number of cases, you're starting with that homegrown talent, the people who know the program, came up through the program. And in this case, what I like, based on what you're saying, is someone has been there to guide him as he has guided others. So he has been prepared for this time and this role.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. So congratulations to Coach Chris Price. There are a number of things we want to talk about. I don't know if you're aware of this story. I watch it, so you don't have to. But in Jackson, as of July 23rd, this is some crazy stuff. The Jackson Water shut off the water completely to some apartments. They claim the landlord at the Blossom Apartments owes over $400,000. So although these folk were paying their rent, and their rent included their water bill payment, the ownership of this facility, of this complex, they were not paying the water to the city, I suppose. So many residents had already paid water through their rent, and now they're being used as leverage. Imagine being without water since July 23rd. They are without running water for cooking, bathing, or cleaning, forced to rely on bottled water and fire trucks for basic needs while mold and mildew spread. After public outcry, a federal judge ordered the water restored for 5 days, though. Only for 5 days, not to fix the problem, just to give the residents a breathing room before they're forced out. So imagine you paying your rent. Your rent includes your water, but the person you're paying it to aren't paying their bills, and a judge tells you have 5 days to find housing in this climate where rents are skyrocketing, earning potential is not meeting the needs of how high this rent is going, and then it's the end of the month. That was July 23rd. The end of the month, that would be extremely hard to walk into an apartment August 1st. And so it's just awful to me. It's families who did their part are still losing everything: water, housing, dignity, because of a dispute they did not cause. What do you make of that? Like, water is a human right. Like, in order for you, how is the onus on the folk when the person who they pay their bills to? I'm certain that a judge could have forced them to do something other than 5 days to move. Is there no orchestrating, helping them find water
and getting ready for school?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, because it's like
the
now
timing
these
is just
kids,
really bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a domino effect all across the board, because even folks with their jobs, You can't say, well, I can't come to work today. Well, you can. I mean, you're going to have to because I'm looking for an apartment. But a lot of these jobs don't have that sort of empathy to care what you have going on. And so it puts a constraint on that. It's a constraint on school starting. You know, a lot of the schools, for the most part, have that sort of empathy. They'll figure out a way, you know, through programming. We have the McKinley Veto here where that's the homeless situation. But because by all intents and purposes, they're homeless at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm certain there's some programming through school that will help them, but it's just a massive it's unconscionable, first of all, but it's also inconsiderate to give somebody 5 days to find housing when they've already paid their money to this place. So now it's like I've already spent this money,
right?
You know, and now I have to figure out more money to give off just to have running water.
Yeah, I was talking to some NABJ colleagues in Cleveland last week who work in Jackson. So they've been covering this story.
Oh, y'all talked about it at the conference?
Right. And I mean, it's just a mess. I mean, it's really upset a lot of people's lives. People are frantic, you know, trying to find housing, trying to figure out how they can get their water back on, but their water isn't coming back on. They got their kids. They're, you know, trying to get them over to relatives' homes in the city of Jackson and outside of. You go outside of, then you got school issues for how long it's going to take the kid to get to school. It's a mess.
Yeah, it is a mess. And speaking of things that are a mess, did you know that Linda McMahon was in Louisiana?
Yeah, I heard she was coming.
Did you hear her? Yeah, she was here. I'm not certain, you know, who all had the pleasure of her presence, but she was here. She's on this returning education to the states tour to collect best practices that have shown educational success. I'm not comfortable with returning education to the states in terms of anything, because this is the whole reason why we have the Department of Education, because we know that there were so many inequities from state to state that they needed a governing body of guardrails and policies, especially for vulnerable populations of children, like kids who benefit from special education services,
right?
You know, title program and things of that nature. So this whole idea of returning education to the states under the flawed argument that they are trying to push feels very much like reform. You know, let me give you this choice to make the decision to send your children where you want, and then you realize it wasn't necessarily choice. It was the choice of the choices they had already made for you. And so I'm just concerned about this for a number of reasons, but we understand from state to state that there equities exist, and they will be exacerbated by the dismantling of the Department of Education in favor of this whole idea of returning that responsibility to the states. Because when you look at what states earn and where they're located and what the tax base is, as opposed to what other funding mechanisms are set up for poorer, more rural places, kids will not have a level playing field if we continue to move in this direction. To me, this is going backwards. We've made all this progress to ensure that at least equity is not so jarring across the board. And now I feel like we are walking backwards into the 60s. So as far as education, but yeah, she was here. You know, they like to find a crown jewel to bring folk to. So they went to Jefferson Terrace Academy. I'm told that that's a wonderful school. Shout out to Jefferson Terrace Academy. But she was here. What do you make of that? I mean, we could talk about it. We got to go to break, but I want you to start to think about that, because our state superintendent, Kay Brumley, was present, as was Lamont Cole. You know, he is the superintendent right up the road from us, as was U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy. You know, but I think when things like this happen, you can convince me a lot better if you have varying opinions in the room. I have not read a name yet that makes me feel like the direction we're going with the ramifications could possibly be for kids who are already in marginalized circumstances. I've not heard a name that will push that conversation just yet. But I think when you do something like this, you have to have varying opinions in the room just to make certain that you are doing what is right for all kids in the best interest of whatever outcome you're searching for. But if the outcome is disservice, then that's one thing. But if the outcome is really about academic success, then you need varying leaders in education.
Well, there's
in
a different view in North Carolina, and hopefully we can make some time to get to that.
I think there's a different view in Massachusetts too, but we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about it. We'll hear from Daisy Reyes and Kalita Lloyd talking about the Crescent City ID program and what's that all about. We're right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Yeah,
Good Tuesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Happening today, the trial is set to begin for former New Orleans 911 Director Tyrell Morris. Morris is charged with malfeasance in office, insurance fraud, and second-degree injuring of public records. It follows a car crash Morris was involved in back in 2023 and allegations that he doctored department policy as it relates to reporting accidents. Morris has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Morris was disqualified from the race for mayor after a judge determined he did not meet eligibility requirements. The NOPD says a woman was robbed and assaulted after getting into a car she thought was an Uber. They say the victim entered the rideshare at 1001 Esplanade around 3:30 Sunday morning. The suspects picked her up and drove her around, eventually stopping at Keys Fuel Mart on North Rampart, where they made her pay and pumped gas into their car. She eventually escaped, but not before the suspects stole her purse and phone. More than 2 million Americans could lose food stamp benefits in an average month due to the work requirements for some enrollees. That's according to a Congressional Budget Office analysis released on yesterday. So the law requires some parents of dependent children to work for their food stamp benefits for the first time. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, has been long required certain able-bodied adults to work or receive benefits for longer than 3 months. But the GOP's Big Beautiful Bill broadened that mandate to parents of dependent children, requiring those kids with ages 14 and older to work, volunteer, or participate in job training at least 80 hours a month. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityWealthManagement.com. One United Bank is the nation's largest black-owned bank. Founded back in 1968 in Boston, the bank compares itself to a GPS system for financial services, tailored to help Black Americans navigate the money world. Chairman and CEO Kevin Cohey says One United Bank is successful because it focuses on problems the average person faces.
Your truck's broke. It's going to cost $600. You don't have $600. You need to borrow. You need an emergency, small balance, short-term loan in order to solve your problem. That's a One United Bank product. You can't get a checking account because there's something that occurred in your youth. That's a One United Bank product.
One United Bank prides itself on helping to empower people in the Black community through its products and services. Helping people in the lower and middle class face small everyday problems is a big part of that mission. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows when you're looking for reliability, the right brand makes all the difference. And now, Lowe's is the exclusive home improvement retailer for the Whirlpool water treatment line, including their Wi-Fi softener, under-sink filtration system, and more. With Whirlpool's proven performance and our everyday low prices, better tasting, better quality water is within reach. Shop pro-trusted brands like Whirlpool and more, in-store or online. Lowe's, we help, you save.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
Right now, we are in the studio with Daisy Reyes. Say your last name for me, Daisy.
Daisy Reyes Cabral.
Baby, you do that better than me. I cannot roll that R like that. So Daisy Reyes is in the building, as well as Khalida Lloyd. They're here talking to us about the Crescent City ID program. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, ladies. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing good.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Listen,
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for being here. So hopefully your Crescent City ID is not as big as this billboard that is sitting in front of me. But the Crescent City ID program, can you talk to us about exactly what that is and what are the origins of the Crescent City ID?
Yeah, I would say this has been a program that has been a long time coming, if you will. This is something that has been a major initiative that Mayor Cantrell has wanted to get across the finish line, as well as has been available or advocated from in the community. And so it started really a good bit of years ago, and the city made some investments in what we call, or used to be formerly known as the AmeriCorps Vista program, which that no longer exists. Mm-hmm. And they made an investment of having an Avista come into City Hall to really do research and understand what this program was. There's different programs all across the nation. And so we did engagement, we did community engagement, we did research in order to see how that can fit within the city of New Orleans. And so part of that was being able to talk to community members and say, like, is this something that we want? And it was a rousing yes, because it's really an opportunity to break down barriers. But we have elevated the program to make sure that it meets the city of New Orleans, because just because it's some other place doesn't mean that it'll be a fit for the city of New Orleans. And so it's something that has been a long time coming. It's been community co-sponsored, if you will, and co-signed, and really a major part of what Mayor Cantrell wanted to accomplish. And so we're happy that it's finally here.
So when we talk about what the mayor wanted to accomplish, what is the purpose of the Crescent City ID for the folk who are just hearing about this initiative for the first time? What's the purpose of it? If I have a Louisiana State ID, if I have a driver's license, what is the purpose of having Crescent City ID?
Mm-hmm. Well, the reality is that a lot of New Orleanians face barriers with obtaining a traditional ID. So whether that's through cost or eligibility restrictions, we heard from a lot of our community partners, our advocacy groups, our service providers, that a lot of people were having challenges obtaining city services like healthcare, accessing education, or accessing other city services. And so because of this barrier, they were because of the barrier of not having a traditional ID, they were not able to access these services. And so through the Crescent City, we're kind of removing those barriers, and we're affirming everyone that they belong here and that they have access to all these services. And so that's kind of like the the essential service of the Crescent City ID. And so not only does it serve as an ID, but it's also your Nord card, it's also your library card, and it's also connected to different discount services from participating businesses in the city. So it'll provide them discounts as well.
So what's the main difference between a state ID and there's a state ID and a driver's license? You can have a state ID without having a driver's license. But what's the benefit of having this if you don't have a driver's license, state ID? What's the not the benefit, what's the qualifications for who can get the city, Crescent City ID?
So I'm gonna start with your first one of making the distinction, because we do want to make the distinction. This is not a state ID, right? And so what it does though is it gives you privileges and access within the city of New Orleans. So all the city programs, our NOPD, all our city-run offices and programs will recognize this ID. On top of that, we're going to work our best. We're going to do our best to socialize it amongst other entities to make sure that it is accepted as well as a form of a photo identification, because it's a government issued ID at its core. So it's official. It's a government issued ID at the city level. It is not your driver's license. So, if you get pulled over, do not show your Crescent City ID. Talking about something that's your driver's license. That's not going to work. You cannot use it for federal purposes, so you cannot fly with it. Cannot enter a federal business with it. But it gives you this form of identification. Think about all the practical ways in which you need an identification, whether it's to sign a lease, whether it's to apply for a job,
pick up a package,
just the simple things. Rent an apartment. The simple things that we need identification for, and being able to access that identification is going to be the number one solution. And the other part of it that we're hoping that it will do is it will be quicker, right? Being able to, and we'll talk more about this too, being able to meet people where they are, as our mayor says, and be able to give them access to this ID, hopefully in a more quicker way.
At no cost.
And at no cost, right? And so that's the other part. I'm trying to remember what the latter part of your question was.
What qualifications? What do you have to do to get?
Yeah, so big question, right? Like, what do I need to do? And so we do want to emphasize that you have to be able to prove your identity to us. So you have to bring in a list of documents that is on our website that will prove your identity through a photo. So your name. Documents have to match your name and a photo of you, right? Like, so you have to have some other documentation that has that. So whether that's a passport, whether that's a employee card, whether that's your state ID, right? So you have to be able to prove that. Then you also have to have your name and your date of birth. We need to know your date of birth, because we're also going to allow youth and young people to get their ID as well, starting at age 10. And we have a partnership with Nord to really help streamline their processes of being able to allow children and youth to participate in their programs. And so knowing their age is going to be helpful for that purpose. And so you have to be able to prove some type of documentation that has your name and your date of birth as well. So that's your birth certificate.
How does the ID improve accessibility for residents who may be undocumented, unhoused, or otherwise lack traditional forms of ID? Because for me, I feel like that there is a criminalization of homelessness going on across the country. And I know that a lot of the unhoused folk, for whatever reason, whether they're transient, whether they lost everything, in some sort of disaster or whatever, for whatever reason, they don't have the necessary documentation to be able to prove anything. How does this help accessibility for that demographic of folk?
I love that you asked this question, because we thought about this when we engaged with community. And so to extend the accessibility of this program, because this is what the program gets to do, we kind of created an opportunity for our community organizations, our shelters, our faith institutions, whoever can be able to verify and willing to verify the identity of those who may be homeless. They can do so through what we're calling a letter of care. And so it'll be an official document provided by the city that will allow an authorizing authority of these different entities and community organizations to sign a letter to verify a person's identity, as well as, if they were in their shelter, be able to verify their residency within the city of New Orleans.
I mean, because if they are in someone's shelter, they had to have something that processed them into the place so we can know who they are or whatever identifying markers there are for them. I just believe, for me, I think about what is happening in D.C. and this deployment of our military in D.C. specific to the unhoused. I don't think that homelessness should ever be criminalized. I mean, they're already in a position to need things from our government or from just regular citizens. And I don't know if this will make it easier for people to feel more humane. But whatever it is that allows a person to feel more humane, I can support it. I just want to understand, because I do know these are the questions.
Yeah.
You know, the opposition of the folk who oppose what is happening with this ID. These are the sorts of questions they would have. Because if the issue is we're trying to make it easier because folk are having a hard time interfacing with other governmental entities, would it not have been better for us, our mayor, our city, to come into the room with those entities to say, how do we streamline these processes to ensure that people are not running into unnecessary barriers just to simply identify themselves?
Right, right.
That's how I feel about parking to go talk to city. I think that is insane for me to have to park my car, pay to come handle city business. That's just an unnecessary barrier to interfacing with my council person. That's how I feel about that. If this is about simply identifying folk who are in our communities, and it's a way to ensure that whether police are interfacing with them, whether a librarian for them trying to get a service, a grocery store, whatever, if this makes that easier and safer, I mean, then
why not?
Then why not? Right? Especially if every time I have to renew my ID, I got to pay for it, even though I pay taxes, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just things like this, to me, unnecessary hurdles. I think, to me, for anybody running for office, I think eliminating unnecessary hurdles for folk to be able to engage with their government is a platform initiative in my mind.
Right.
I don't want to have to pay the park to go talk to my council person. I don't want to have to pay the park to go ask the doctor why I'm sick. It's just insane stuff that we're paying for that creates an additional burden on people who can, for the lack of a better word, afford it. So it exacerbates a problem for a person who can't afford basic things.
Right.
So was this one of the thought processes behind why we needed something like this? Because I think it's about safety, really. Like, how do I identify the folk who are now community, they're engaging in community?
I think that for us, it was really important to find, to have a safe and inclusive form of identification for all residents here in New Orleans. And I think that through this program, we'll be able to have that. And so even thinking about like our youth, who, a lot of young people don't have a form of identification. And so through this program, they'll be able to have that. We have from ages 10 and up. And what makes this different also as well is that with the youth, the expiration date, they'll be able to renew their ID, I believe is every 3 years. And then for adults, it'll be every 6 years. So it's a longevity
Thinking
of
about
the
the
ID.
youth, I can tell you one thing that I think that will help. As the parent of a child who had to go go to driving school, they want identification. They want, and sometimes your school ID isn't enough for the driving plates. So if this is about all entities in the city, I can see how this works for children who are not yet adult, but who need identification to apply for a job or things of that nature. But you definitely needed to get your tip code, like your temporary driver's license. You need it when you go to turn your temporary into a permanent one. But for all intents and purposes, we have, as a parent, we got to pay for that on top of paying for the driving school. So if we had the Crescent City ID, at least that's one less expense in my brain. I'm just thinking this thing through.
Yeah,
I know folk. There's some folk who don't think it's a good idea. So we just brainstorming all of the reasons why it could be beneficial
it is a good idea
to the city. I don't know. What do you think, Will Sutton?
Well, as the elder in the room, let me let you all know, but let listeners know that this is not a new idea.
It's not a new idea?
And so New Orleans has had a chance to look at city IDs, municipal IDs at a lot of places. So, as y'all like to say, I'm old enough to remember that New Haven, Connecticut had this in 2007.
Yep.
San Francisco, 2019.
I think those are some well-adjusted communities.
2009. So the concept has been around, and there are cities, small and large, who have moved on this and have continued with this to make it easier for their residents. So yes, there are other types of identification, but universities, colleges, high schools want their identification. What's wrong with a city having its identification?
So what do you
Another layer of identification and proving who you are.
So what do you say to the folk who don't believe it's necessarily going to work or there is no real need for it?
What I say is, how do we move ourselves into a space that we are thinking about everybody? I think
she talked about equity, y'all. That's what I heard. I'm just saying.
You know, as New Orleanians and residents, I think we're proud of our city. We're proud of being in this city. We want to see changes. We want to see things improve. But how do we also think about everyone in the process? And so we know that this program is going to benefit other people more than it might benefit someone else. But we have designed a program where we feel like it can benefit everybody in having an ID.
And is this the
Yes, this is the ID.
The actual mock-up of the ID?
Yes, we brought it for you guys.
Yes,
you bought it.
As you can see, we made sure, we even wanted the identity of the program to be very alive. As you can see, like our logo, it has the crescent moon for the Crescent City. It has the Crescent City connection. It has the skylines, you know, the Mississippi River. So, you know, this is the ID. So some things that I do want to share, like it has, this is for any individuals who have any health conditions that, let's say if you get stopped or something happens, an emergency, and EMS sees your identification, they know that you have an emergency, you have a health challenge, you could turn it around, yeah. And back here, it'll say what health alert that is. Here we have an emergency contact. This is for the young people who, again, something happens, you get stopped or an emergency happens, we're able to contact your emergency contact.
I'm going to put an emergency contact.
Yeah. We have a preferred language. We know that New Orleans is a very diverse city. We have individuals who speak a plethora of languages. Here you can share that. Whether you are a donor, you're able to share that as well if you're a veteran. And then we have this QR code, which is going to connect you to all the discounts that are associated to having this ID. We have here your library at Nord, and this will give you access to both of these facilities.
So do I need a library card if I get a CID?
So if you already have a library card, you bring it with you at our mobile pop-ups or at your appointment, and we'll connect it to your ID. And if you don't have one, then we'll have one after that day.
Right.
So tell us more. You mentioned mobile pop-ups. Tell us more about the mobile pop-up sites. How are locations selected, and how can community members suggest new ones?
Yes, so our mobile pop-ups, it's really important for it to be very accessible, and through mobile pop-ups, that's going to be possible. We worked with a lot of our community partners, and we will be in different areas in the city. So we'll be doing mobile pop-ups in the libraries. We'll be doing mobile pop-ups at the Nord centers and other community spaces. And so again, the idea behind that is that we want to meet our residents where they're at. So we want to be in these spaces where the gatherings are already happening and providing this service.
Well, I like the idea about the veteran stamp on the back as well, because there are a number of discounts that all communities offer across the city. All organizations offer across the city. I know because when I go get my oil change, we have a discount in the system because we have a veteran in our family, and so we get that discount. I know there are places where you go eat, and if you're a veteran, you get a discount. So that's a good way to be able to show that you're a veteran if you don't necessarily have your actual military card or whatever. So I mean, listen, like I said, I think it's a good idea in terms of making certain that we can, first and foremost, identify folk who are becoming a part of community, whether they're transient coming from other places trying to put down roots here. But New Orleans has always been a very welcoming place, a sanctuary place. People from all over. They have been. We're not going to use the negative connotation they've put on sanctuary. Sanctuary, we call churches sanctuaries because there are places that welcome everybody, no matter what their socioeconomic status is, what not any of that, race, gender, creed, none of that. Churches are sanctuaries. That's the definition of sanctuary. I don't want anybody to redefine what sanctuary means. And New Orleans, that's why folk flock here, because we've always been a communal place where no matter what you've been through, you could start anew here. The only problem with us is don't try to wash us out to create what you consider to be new. And all I was looking for on that ID was the word NOLA, because then you was going to have a problem, because we live in New Orleans. This is New Orleans, and I think language matters.
It does.
And so to me, again, anything that creates an environment where we have equity at the forefront and safety very close in line with equity, I'm open to the conversation. So we do know that there's been some pushback. I think that you guys have given answers as a, in contrast to what the pushback is about. And I don't think it does anything to minimize a state ID or a driver's license.
No.
It just helps folk who may not be able to get those things as easily or readily to be able to function in this city with or without it. It's the way I see it. I'll give y'all the final say, though. So how can folk learn more about the program, and when is the next pop-up?
Yes, so the official public launch is on Saturday, September 6th. We will be at the Treme North Center at 900 North Villery Street from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be an event of a family-focused event. There's going to be a lot of resources. A lot of different organizations are going to be present to share all their resources to the community. We will do our best to get everyone their IDs that day. We on our website at NOLA.gov/Crescent City ID, you'll be able to see all the documentation that you need in order to receive your ID. Am I missing anything else?
It sounds like you covered all the bases.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Daisy Reyes. Thank you, Kalita Lloyd. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you all.
From the director. She's the director of the Office of Human Rights and Equity in the Mayor's Office. That's Miss Lloyd. And Miss Reyes is with the Municipal ID Program. She manages it. That's why you had all of the answers. They were here talking about the Crescent City ID Program. We appreciate you. And once you launch it and get it off the ground, you got to promise to come back and let us know how it's going.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted. Look, Pop, I see you. Don't hang up, because I want to talk to you. You were a part of my trivia question. So I definitely want to talk to you about that. Y'all stay with us right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Hot and muggy day again, but we could see a few more clouds as we head throughout the day. We are expecting some scattered showers and an increased chance for rain, especially as we get into the afternoon. Some of those could include some heavy downpours. Highs today will be into the upper 80s and the lower 90s, feeling a lot hotter than that. As you get to the end of the week, though, drying out with temperatures into the mid to upper 90s by the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
a shout to Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer who
right.
just put me in check, Mr. Nyron Sanders, and my co-host Will Sutton. I saw
Good morning.
Victor and got excited. I said, Victor, come on in here. My producer said, ah. So look, let me stay in my hosting lane. But we were just in conversation with Daisy Reyes and Kalita Lloyd talking about the Crescent City ID program, and it is getting ready to roll out this month, and they will have a pop-up at the Treme Rec Center. So if you want more information, you can absolutely attend one of the pop-ups or reach out to the office of the mayor to find out more information as it relates to the Crescent City ID
Saturday,
program.
September 6th.
Yeah, that's the 6th. It's going to be on the 6th, September 6th. So if you want to
9
be in the
a.m.
building, that's kind of early.
And they're going to get you your IDs that day.
They say they're gonna
Their
try their best to get
I
everybody
tell you
an
what,
ID.
get there between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
You're more likely. Don't show up at
Yeah.
1:45 and think you're going to get your ID.
But Pop is on the phone. Good morning, Pop. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. How you doing?
Good morning, Dr. Wise and Will Sutton.
Good morning, Pop.
And no disrespect to the guests.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there?
And no disrespect to you all.
Uh-huh.
But yes, I'm here. Look like y'all having a feedback or something on.
No, we hear you okay. Can you hear us okay?
Okay.
Oh, that's why he has the pause. He can hear himself coming back.
What?
Go ahead,
Keep
Pop.
talking. Keep talking.
You already know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. You already know that. What I'm trying to understand, I'm a veteran. I'm an Army veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have an ID to get into VA facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I get discounts and everything. But to me, I smell a rat with this.
You smell a rat with this? Talk to me about it.
Yeah, it's to me, I can understand, because even if a child get ID, I think I even see something look like this is not just in New Orleans. This coming from somewhere else. That's my opinion.
Well,
y'all may believe something different.
Well, Pops,
you also, even if you don't drive, you also already have a local ID. So how many more IDs are you going to have?
Well, Pops, this is Will Sutton. So municipal ID programs have been around since 2007, 2009. A number of municipalities have been adding them through the years. New Orleans is getting to the point. I hear what you're saying, but there are people who are not like you and me and us who don't have an ID or they've lost IDs. And some of them are our kids, our nieces, nephews who don't have a driver's license, and they can use a city ID for things like the library and for employment and so forth.
With Will Sutton, you already have an ID like that.
I do. But if my 12-year-old grandson or nephew doesn't have an ID, this would be an opportunity since the city is going to make the threshold 10 years old.
Oh, for a child?
Yes.
Well, even that, I suspect that.
So you don't like the idea of children having city
well,
IDs?
Yeah, because if a child... In other words, I'm an old person.
And?
I'm an old person. When I was a child, I had a work permit at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Permit at 12 years old. Would that be an ID?
Your work permit?
Yeah, at 12 years old, I had a work permit.
I mean, if it has all of your identifying things, did it also include your picture? Because anybody can have your actual
What
paperwork.
more information do they need?
Your picture, Did your work permit have your picture on it so that the paper and the picture can say that it's you?
Oh.
Because
Well,
Will could walk
yeah,
around with
look.
your paperwork, but Will won't have your picture on the permit.
Right. I could say I'm Pops.
Yeah.
Look, Dr. Wise.
Yes, sir.
You and Will Sutton and all the guests, they're much smarter than I am.
I doubt it. I doubt it, but we're gonna go with it.
But I smell a rat.
And listen, I'm not saying that your sense of smell is off. What I'm saying is, I think the idea is to create more access within city limits for folk who have barriers to receiving a state issued ID, whether it's by way of money or by way of not being able to satisfy whatever requirements they're requesting. They're just saying that if you are roaming around in this community and you don't have access to a state issued ID for whatever reason, there's this free municipal ID that you can have access to, which will make it easier for you to identify yourself in certain areas within city limits. That is just what I'm hearing them say. I guess they would have to continue to flesh it out so that they can give you the answers you're looking for. But I do know, like I said, for the youth, I can see this being a wonderful thing for the youth because some of them don't have state issue IDs. They only have school IDs. And a lot of places don't accept a school ID, but they would accept a municipal ID from the municipality that it comes from. So I can see where it works for the youth. I can see where it works for the unhoused and folk who are having struggles for whatever reason, and they need to have some form of identification on their person. But I do understand that there are questions, and that's for the city to continue to flesh it out so that they can ease your questions. But I do see little areas where this could be beneficial, specific to children and youth. Pop?
Are you there, Pop?
I think it's a delay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's for those points. I
Well,
can see where
like
they're
I
going.
say, I think I've been on the planet longer than you all have, and it's something I see. It has a connection with Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I see a connection with all these IDs.
And I like connecting dots, Pop. So listen. I'm with
And
you
already,
when you're right.
already taking everybody out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Already, so I suspect this.
Mm-hmm.
As citizens, so I suspect something on this.
Well, we're gonna follow it very closely.
But that's just me. I don't woo. But I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born at 9:34 in the morning, Pop. So listen, I absolutely can see where you're going with your thought process, and all we have to do as citizens is to follow the story closely to be able to see if those concerns are addressed.
See.
Yeah, we gonna follow it
I
very
smell
closely.
a rat.
We're gonna see. We're gonna
We
follow
will
it
see.
very closely. Thank you, Pop. Look, I don't know if you knew, but you were one of my trivia questions. People were able to answer a trivia question, and you were the answer to the question, and they won some tickets. So I don't
And
know.
not only me, the people gonna see too.
They
All right,
will
Pop.
see, Pop. I appreciate you. Thank you, Pop. Look, Pop say I smell a rat. And listen, when Pop talk, all you have to do is listen, and because he's not off. He's not far off most of the time. So we're going to see where this leads us. We're going to keep an eye on it, Pop, and we'll bring you the updates as we get them. Y'all keep listening because we're going to keep talking, because on the other side of the break, we'll hear from Victor Sims talking about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government. Is government not operating like a business right now, hiring all his friends and, ain't no real credentials, but everybody got a job? They got 30 Fox personalities working in the White House. Listen, we're going to talk to Victor Sims, the expert on the psychology of business versus the psychology of government when we come back. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. 3 people are dead in a shooting that happened at a Target store in Austin, Texas. Police Chief Lisa Davis says the suspect carjacked a car, but then crashed as he tried to escape.
Then hijacked another car. He was then found by Austin PD, where he was taken into custody after a tasing.
She says the suspect had a history of mental health issues. A federal judge in San Francisco is hearing if President Trump broke the law by sending troops to LA during immigration protests. Black activists say the move echoes past abuses of military force in communities of color. California wants control of its guard back and a ban on military policing. And Johnny Reed, a 62-year-old black athlete from Naples, Florida, just broke a national record at the National Senior Games in Iowa, running 100 meters in 13.6 seconds. She also set a 50-meter record in 2023. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Shout out to my super producer, Naren Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
Right now, we are joined in studio by none other than Victor Sims. He's going to talk to us about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government. Now, Victor, break that down for us. What is the psychology of business, and then what is the psychology of government?
The purpose of both of these two entities is the psychology. What are they attempting to accomplish? Now, remember, one thing about me is I think everything human being does has a psychological background to it, no matter what it is that we're doing. We could be the hopper on the garbage truck. There's a psychology behind that. What is my purpose? What is my rationale? What am I trying to get accomplished and done? In these two entities, and I'm bringing this topic up, looking at national politics, national events that are taking place. And one of the things that it appears that there's an attempt, because people have many years have mentioned how business is a streamlined thing. It is designed to minimize excess, maximize profit, and whatever they can adjust their practices in order to maximize profit and reduce unnecessary spending. That's what business does. They meet around the table. You know, many companies, many individuals in different cities, our cities are not lost to that. Corporate meetings take place in New York, Chicago, or somewhere and have a negative impact here. The closing of large stores, Winn-Dixie's, K&B's, whatever. These are the end result of business deciding this is not a profitable venture, because their purpose is profit. That is, business is perfect. That's why they're in business, to make a profit. Government, on the other hand, is to take care of the people.
It should. That's what it should
government's
be about.
goal
Yes.
is to take care of the people. That's what they exist for, to make sure that the population that they serve is taken care of. Their needs are handled, are taken care of. And from sewage, police, groundskeeping, school, education, that's government's purpose. And when you attempt to blend these two together, you have entirely conflictual operation, because government is not about making a profit. If they have to expend extra dollars in order to take care of the people, then that's what they're going to do.
Business, on the other hand, take a look and see if this is not going to be a financially beneficial operation, then we're going to get rid of it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Well, we've seen that attempt made in Washington, D.C. with the DOGE organization. Their purpose was to take a business approach to government. What is the end result? Thousands of individuals in government have been released. If this were done in a organized fashion, identifying they're using the term fraud, waste, and abuse, if you can clearly demonstrate what this particular group were actually having fraud, waste, and abuse, and you can demonstrate how that can be done, understood. But what has happened is, and the ultimate businessman on the face of the earth was in charge, and his method is break it and then put it back together again. Well, when you lose those terms, it has a sort of a positive cognitive idea, and that's where the psychology comes in. Fraud, waste, and abuse. Who would not want to end fraud, waste, and abuse? So the utilization of these terms was designed to make an individual who did not know feel they're doing something good. And then thousands of people from different agencies get released. And the amazing thing is, two of those agencies, the National Nuclear Agency, the agency that takes care of our nuclear issues, they got cut a bunch of them loose and had to call them back because we know they needed them to run the programs. So was there any thought put into that, or was it strictly a business idea that we got 5,000 people and we only need 2,000? So 3,000 got to go, without taking a look to see what the damage would be, because it's a business approach. It would reduce costs. It would improve profit. But then when you looked at it and realized that these individuals took care of the nuclear arsenal in this nation, we got to call them back now.
Mm-hmm. But what happens when you want to reduce costs, increase profit, and then at what expense, though? If the expense is greater than what you gain from it, then is that really good government?
No, it's not good government. And that's why we're having this conversation. It's not good government. Mm-hmm. It's not good government. It's business. Business is not concerned with taking care of its employees. It's concerned with its employees taking care of it.
So is there some, because we're talking about the psychology of this thing, but when you turn a government into a business, and then it no longer serves the will of the people, can we still call it a government? Because it doesn't feel like we're under
a government.
That
is an excellent question. And we, the people of America, need to pay attention what is actually taking place. When you replace governmental services that are designed to take care of the people with business ideology, bad things are going to happen. There are going to be a group of people going to be left out in the cold because they cannot provide a profit to that governmental business ideology.
Because right now, as it stands, being poor in America is expensive.
Yeah,
it's expensive. It's criminal, on some levels. And when we think about what is happening in D.C., do you consider that the psychology of government? Or it's the psychopathy of government?
Well,
what is it?
There is the one thing about we've talked about the individual who's running things these days, mm-hmm. and we need to have a conversation about that too at one point in time. But to have chaos appears to be the mantra.
Yeah.
To constantly throw things up, to shake things up, it appears to be the mantra.
But to also hide things, it's like I'm gonna throw this at you so we can stop talking about this.
If there's enough confusion, mm-hmm. we don't. The people make decisions don't quite know where to go because it's all confusing. And yes, you can hide certain issues into the confusion, and it gets all just this big ball. Now, for business, it has to be very cut, very streamlined. But government is a different entity, and this individual is attempted to be a combination of both, but put more of other aspects into it. And that's why I mentioned the psychology, because there is a psychological process behind what is taking place. And we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention on a regular basis because things are attempting to be changed. And if you notice, individuals who have the least to lose are losing the most in this attempt at making government run like business.
And I think the only thing that's going to change the trajectory of things is for the folk who are making the most money for their bottom lines to start being affected. And I just don't see if they don't ever get a dent in like their funding or their money or their profit margins, they'll continue to just allow him to run rampant.
Because it's a business approach. And you remember the inauguration?
Yes.
You remember who was sitting behind him?
Yep.
Who was that?
Every billionaire in this nation was sitting behind him.
I remember. I didn't watch it. Sorry.
That was
I knew it happened.
Well, I glanced at it, but every billionaire in this nation was sitting behind him. That lets you know what the attention is for, what the whole big beautiful bill was all about. It is about reducing government's responsibility to the people to provide more money for the tax cuts for those in the 1%.
So when we talk about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government, what happens when the effects of the big ugly bill start to show itself? Because it won't happen now because it has to go into effect. Probably after midterms, you'll start to feel it.
Yeah.
What happens when people undoubtedly start to get sick? Folk will die. Folk will lose homes. You know, what happens then? Are we as a country, like where do we go as a country if the courts are not working in the manner that they should, when the Constitution doesn't hold the weight that it should? Our Congressman Troy Carter, he always talks to us about the 3 C's. What is it going to take for the community, for the people to come together and say this is a bridge too far?
I was about to use a term that's very powerful. I'm not going to use that term because it's much too powerful. When the people are dissatisfied, change occurs. When the people are dissatisfied. And when this thing hits fully in its full implications, and individuals begin to realize that their safety nets have been tucked away from them. Because remember, in business, we got to make a profit.
Yes.
And if that means we got to release a certain amount of individuals, well, that's going to happen. And it's already in place with the big, beautiful bill. And when it hits, it's going to be some serious consequences taking place in this nation. And people are going to realize that who this individual truly is. And he's not about government.
And the devastation is going to start at the bottom. It's going to start for the poorest folk at the very bottom. Like it'll if it ever even touches the folk at the very top, but the folk who are at the bottom and those of us who are struggling, you know, right at poverty, above poverty, folk who are middle class America, they're going to feel this like no other, because it's going to strip the security blanket from certain people who think this is not about them.
Yes, it will. I just heard, and I might have been listening to you, that far as food stamps are concerned, if you're a family getting food stamps, if you have teenagers at 14 years old, they now have to find something to do for community service, up to 80 hours a month. And if they aren't able to do so, guess what? You get taken off food stamps. You know?
That wasn't even the basis behind the SNAP program.
No.
It was not the basis.
That was not the basis
so
at
you
all.
basically gonna make folk oh my goodness, tap dance for food, basically. Like I gotta do all of this community theater, this performative stuff to feed myself, to feed my children.
Pretty much.
It's insane. You
Pretty
know,
much.
and it's so crazy because these are the people who are making these rules and setting up all of this flawed policy have never really worked themselves. No. A lot of this is handed down wealth and money from generations and generations of stolen land and confiscated ideas from people, and then they have the audacity to tell you to dance for some food stamps.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I just don't know. I don't know what has to happen for enough to be well beyond enough. I think what's happening in California is a tipping point. To say that we don't necessarily have to play by a rule because there are no rules to play by. We have to meet them where they are and show them that whatever you do to make it uncomfortable for the majority of folk, we can return the favor. What has to happen in government in terms of the psychology of government. Because I mean, I just don't, I can't wrap my head around how many people have to go along with this for this to be the reality of this country.
Well, actually, you don't have to have that many.
It is
They
enough.
They just have to be in
the right
particular
places.
places.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't have to have that many.
Yeah.
They just have to be in the right places. And if you notice, the individuals who work for our president all agree with everything that he says.
I don't think that though, Victor. I don't think that they necessarily agree with what they say. I think they're going along with it for the fear.
Okay, I
you know
can
what
go
I'm
with
saying?
that.
For the fear of having a thought separate and apart from his.
Yeah.
Because you get penalized for
Yeah.
that. I don't think a lot of these people believe in what they're actually supporting, but it's the fear of having your constituents turn on you because they believe more in him than they do you. And if he disagrees with you, then they're going to disagree with you, and then you could be unseated. Because I think that's what the current president is doing. He's using fear to control the votes of people, because if you don't do what I say, then you won't have the ability to sit in this seat. If you don't do what I say, then you won't get these tax breaks and these tax cuts that you've been, able to benefit from. I cannot in my brain believe that folk think that what he's doing is okay.
I hope that you're right.
I'm talking about by and large. Now, there's some people who are lockstep.
Well, yeah, I understand
They're
what you're saying.
demons to me.
I understand what you're saying.
They're demons.
I hope
for the most part.
And from a psychological standpoint,
Yeah.
I can totally agree with you. That the individuals who may go along with a particular plan based upon what they see could negatively impact them if they don't go along with the plan.
Yeah.
But if they were free to express themselves, they would express themselves wholeheartedly. Yeah, okay. I can definitely go with that.
J.D. Vance had opinions and stances that were
Prior
polar
to.
opposite.
Polar.
Yeah, but now he saw the benefit of agreeing with him because that got him the vice presidency.
Yeah.
And he ultimately has
Marco
eyes
Rubio.
on the president. Yes. Even Nancy Mace, like all of these people have very their opinions have turned. Even the lady that's over the border patrol, her whole face is different now. So what is her name? She's over
the Border Patrol?
She's over the Department of what is her
Homeland
name?
Security.
Yeah, what is her name?
The one who went down
she
to
wasn't
the
always,
prison.
Yes, she wasn't
Yeah.
always thinking as extreme
No.
as the policy. No,
No.
that she's pushing
Was
now.
she a Democrat at one point?
I think
I'm
she
not sure.
did change parties.
I think she was running for president at one point in time.
No, that's somebody else.
That's somebody else.
I remember her stances were not as
Tulsi
strong.
Kelsey Gabbard. Okay, yes.
I
yes,
remember
that's
her
what it was.
stances were not as strong and as radical as
Right.
they are now. I mean, even Pam Bondi, like her thought process is just far out there now. And I think they're just going along with him because it secures them a position of power that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. Because a lot of these people are not, they don't have the credentials to do the jobs that they're doing. They don't have the expertise to do the job. Look at Kennedy with the health, with the health. It's just so much that's going on that is just so far outside of the realm of what we thought could possibly happen in this country. And I understand, like, the Constitution could not think ahead for everything. I understand that the document has to grow as we grow. But to just completely throw it out and to say, you don't have to abide by it, whatever the judges say don't matter unless they're agreeing with you, this is dangerous territory.
Extremely dangerous territory. And again, that's where business ideas come in.
Yeah.
How can I make a profit according to whatever my idea of a profit is? And if that means I have to go around the rules and regulations, then I will go around
And if people
rules
have
and
to die,
regulations.
so be it.
And if people get injured in that fact, well, that's as you said, so be it.
Yeah.
But see, business thinks about their bottom line is a profit. How can I increase my bottom line? And if somebody got to hurt for that, then somebody will hurt. Now you understand the whole capitalistic system is built upon the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
You have to have the have-nots in the capitalistic system. Somebody has to do the dirty work, in that system. So in this situation, this gentleman, his focus is purely on his personal bottom line. The acquisition of this multi-million-dollar jet from an Arab country. This is supposed to be against a president that's not able to get rich off of outside nations based upon their influence over him. Well, That was supposed to be stopped, but he accepted the jet.
We got to take a break. We're going to continue to talk about it. Somebody asked me what's going on in California. Well, the government in Texas is gerrymandering Democrats out of seats in Texas. And so the governor in California says if you can gerrymander us out of seats, we can gerrymander you out of seats to force you to have a bipartisan ban on gerrymandering. That's what California is trying to force the Republicans. Somebody asked that question, so I wanted to clear that up. But we're talking to Victor Sims about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government. He has a whole lot to talk about on this issue, so stay tuned and keep listening right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Didn't catch this morning's conversation? No worries. The Good Morning Show is now a podcast on all your favorite apps. Just search WBOK Media, find The Good Morning Show, and make it part of your daily routine. Download it, share it, and rate it 5 stars. Start your day with something real.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Happening today, the trial is set to begin for former New Orleans 911 Director Tyrell Morris. Morris is charged with malfeasance in office, insurance fraud, and second-degree injuring of public records. It follows a car crash Morris was involved in back in 2023 and allegations that he doctored department policy as it relates to reporting accidents. Morris has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Morris was disqualified from the race for mayor after a judge determined he did not meet eligibility requirements. The NOPD says a woman was robbed and assaulted after getting into a car she thought was an Uber. They say the victim entered the rideshare at 1001 Esplanade around 3:30 Sunday morning. The suspects picked her up and drove her around, eventually stopping at Keys Fuel Mart on North Rampart, where they made her pay and pumped gas into their car. She eventually escaped, but not before the suspects stole her purse and phone. More than 2 million Americans could lose food stamp benefits in an average month due to the work requirements for some enrollees. That's according to a Congressional Budget Office analysis released on yesterday. So the law requires some parents of dependent children to work for their food stamp benefits for the first time. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, has been long required certain able-bodied adults to work or receive benefits for longer than 3 months. But the GOP's Big Beautiful Bill broadened that mandate to parents of dependent children, requiring those kids with ages 14 and older to work, volunteer, or participate in job training at least 80 hours a month. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
New Orleans, get ready to laugh. Join Inspire NOLA, K20, NSNO, and the Nord Commission, a free event for NOLA teachers, parents, and the community. Friday, August 15th at the Orpheum Theater, featuring comedians Frank White, Shady Feelgood, Rob Kazi, and Bruce, with performances by DJ Jubilee, the Big Six Brass Band, PNC, and Subtweet Sean, hosted by Tanya Boyd Cannon and Wild Wayne. Get your tickets and info at inspirenolaschools.org.
I'm Michelle Woodfork, and I know what real leadership takes. It means running a jail that's safe, clean, and under control. It means tackling mental illness and addiction head on and making reentry work. It means zero tolerance for escapes and no patience for excuses. I've spent my life in law enforcement, not chasing headlines, not playing politics, but serving people. I'm Michelle Woodfork, and I'm ready to lead as your next sheriff. Paid for by Michelle Woodfork for Sheriff.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nara Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
If you are just joining us, we are in heavy conversation with Victor Sims, talking about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government. If you want to join the conversation, the number is 504-582-9422. Now, before the break, we were giving our listening audience the understanding of this gerrymandering thing that's happening in the state of Texas and California's response to what the governor in Texas is attempting to do by way of gerrymandering folk out of equitable representation.
Yes.
And the Governor Newsom out in California is saying he's gained. He wants to show them that if you can do it, I can do it. But his intent is much different than what their intent is. He's
Much
hoping
different.
that this is going to push them to the table to have a conversation about a permanent ban on this idea of penciling folk out of representation by way of gerrymandering. And this conversation is growing larger, but Louisiana is saying, nah, we're not going to join in this gerrymandering thing. And before I tell you what the article says, why do you think that is? Why do you believe Louisiana is saying they're not joining the gerrymandering arms race like Texas and California?
I'm not sure, but I think they already tried in the federal, and the court slapped them down, ordered that they have to go back to where it was because it was very clear that the gerrymandering that took place here was racially motivated. So they've already been hit by the courts. So I think that's why they're, backing away from this particular situation. Because if they bring it up again, even though they have been ruled by federal courts to not do it, that they would have some consequences they really don't want to deal with. So let's take a look at them other people and see what they're going to do about it. If what I understand, also, New York is also considering the same type of situation. But for the last time I heard, both these states have regulations that may prevent them from interfering in this process, that they would have to have the process done first, the gerrymandering done, then sue to try to get it resettled for racial purposes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think all of this stuff really ties back into this need for power.
Yeah.
Right? It's this need to control. They want to keep control of the House, keep control of the Senate. They want to keep control of the White House. They want to keep control of the ability to be able to place judges and things of that nature. And so when it comes to me, when it's about stripping people of access to have viable representation, that doesn't tell me that you're actually trying to play by the rules of government. That tells me that it leans more to the psychology of business, because it's really just about the bottom line, like you said, in the control.
Eventually, those two are going to have a meeting because business does provide finances.
Yeah.
And government runs with finances. That's why we get taxed. And I think the thing for power is to dictate the behavior of the people and to administer from ordinances, from local levels, state laws, or federal laws in order to govern and control how the country and the people are served and taken care of. Who is top of the list? Well, you've heard of the term, those with a vested interest. That's a hidden term for the billionaires. Because it is seen that, that whole trickle-down concept that Republicans have utilized for many centuries until now was the fact that if you allow the rich to do their thing, they're going to provide opportunities for everybody else. So by them making money, it will trickle down to the rest of us, on the back end. Unfortunately, what has been proven was that when you do this, the 1% keeps more. They don't let it trickle down. They find ways to reduce their ability to spend more. So this is why the whole idea behind tax cuts, because that allows them to keep more of their profits and do less for the people or less for government.
Well, you mentioned taxes. I mean, everybody's heard of taxation without representation, and that's typically how we're heading. Because if you're going to gerrymander us out of representation, but you're still taxing us, and we don't get to have full representation,
exactly.
And so therein lies the problem. And I keep saying I don't, but I do. I know why they're doing it, but it's hard for me to sit here and really realize that this is the direction our country is willingly going, with this idea that you can just redistrict something or redraw a map and take away representation from crucial communities that deserve to have somebody fighting for their interests, at state levels and at national levels. And we don't get to have that if we're going to allow folk to. Now Florida is jumping into the conversation, and they're saying they announced officially that Republicans hope to redraw 3 districts in their favor by Thursday. So I mean, this is a full court press on these Republican-led states to gerrymander marginalized communities out of representation. I just don't understand why we only hear California's governor, his voice in response to what is happening.
That's a very interesting question there. Why more Democrats are not standing up and shouting from the pulpits about what is taking place. And I would like to think that sooner or later we would. I've had a problem with the Democratic Party not standing up for quite some time. So let's hope that Newsom can wake some people up and get them involved in the fight. We have seen, looking at government, when Republican federal elected people, senators and House representatives, have gone home to their districts and had town hall meetings, what transpired in town hall meeting? The people are very, very frustrated, irritated, and disgusted with what they're seeing taking place. And I do believe that this gerrymandering issue is an attempt to ward that off by creating more potential Republican districts to ward off the people they assume they're going to lose once the midterms show up, because the people see what is transpiring. And in this nation, what we have created initially, what the founders created, was a nation where the people will have something to say. And the people have something to say through the vote. This is why the vote is under attack as well. You know, the Voting Rights Act is something that has to be voted on every couple of years.
Yeah, well, you do know, Victor, that now they're starting the conversation, like they're amplifying the conversation that women don't need access to the voter booth. They are amplifying that conversation, saying there is no purpose for a woman to have the right to vote. And
using a religious format to attempt to do it.
Yes.
To return to a time of the 1850s, in order to do it. Yep. At this point in time, and I think, and we can have this conversation probably another time, but I think there's an underlying force. Everything we do has a purpose to it. When you see a thing that's confusing to you, it's not confusing to the individual who's engaged in it. They have a purpose, they have a goal, they have a rationale. And there's a concept, and I'm going to just throw it out, the concept. We don't have to get too deep into it. The concept called the replacement theory that is taking place, I think, and it is deeply embedded into the community, the dominant community that we have, that they're going to be replaced. Scientific research identified by 2050, that is going to be a fact, that the larger community will no longer be the larger community. So there is a fear that was going to happen, that they're going to lose power and control. And what is going to take place then? Because what we're seeing now is almost a desperation at maintaining power and control.
But I think even if the midterms go the way of the Democrats, I think there's so much poison in the well that it's going to be hard to undo a lot of the mindsets of the people who bought into this MAGA mentality. Like you're starting to see hate crimes at a rate that you didn't see prior to all of the progress made in terms of civil rights and justice in that space, right? And so you're starting to see people use language that was taboo to use, since we've made all of these strides in terms of equity. You're starting to see policies and even in education, like there's curriculum that they are pushing on our children that takes us back 50, 60 years.
And removing curriculum.
And removing curriculum, right? Even if we get what we need in terms of the midterms, it's going to take an enormous amount of lifting to right this ship.
Yeah.
And we still were progressing even from the time of the 60s and the struggles that went on there. We still were progressing. We had not overcome all of what racism provides, all of what was stolen. There were no reparations. And now we are going backwards, and we've not even been able to attain full equity.
Yeah.
So I just don't know whomever succeeds him as the president of the United States, whatever we do in the midterms, whatever we continue to do by way of the vote, it's going to take some real work.
The only thing about it that I think I agree with you is it's going to definitely take some work. The thing that I think will be a little bit, and I'm gonna use a word, but it's much less than what the thing that make it a little bit easier is being done by the executive order.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That can be changed with an executive order.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We don't have to go to the Congress and vote for it and put it out to the states.
Yeah, I appreciate that layer of clarity. Yeah,
That is the only thing that I see that will make it a little simpler to reverse. Now, reverse the minds of those individuals
that's what I was talking about.
who are part of this. That's going to be a whole different issue. And for some individuals, they're locked into their concepts. And that's the psychology. They're locked into this aspect that we have to be in charge. We have to be in control. And for that, I don't think there's a simple way to undo that. Individuals, I'm going to go back to a time in the country where it was really an upsetting time. And Will and I was around during this time. During busing. When they were busing school children. The psychological aspect of that was to put black children in the same classroom with white children, for the white children to see the negative implication that they have been hearing all their time from their homes, because racism is taught, was not true. You can sit to a person, you meet a person, you talk to a person, you realize what you've been told by mama and daddy or granddaddy, that's not true, but the person sitting right next to me. So things begin to change because kids begin to see the reality that a human being, no matter what skin color you are, is a human being. And the negative connotations that your grandparents and your parents were giving you were not true. An excellent example of that situation took place in the movie, Denzel Washington movie called We Are the Titans. I don't know if you saw that movie.
Yep.
You know, it was a beautiful representation of what happens when you make people actually meet each other and get rid of the stereotypical thing that they've been taught and learned. We need that type of situation currently, so that we can understand that we're all people. See, the one thing that gets lost in the shuffle of Republican and Democrat and Independent is American. You know, that was got us all going, that we identified that we're trying to save America. We're America. We're not just Republicans and Democrats. But when you look at it from that psychological perspective of those deviations in individuals, now you get competing tribes instead of recognizing that we're all in this thing together. Because if, you know, and I think I want to say Martin Luther King, but I'm not quite certain who quoted this. But revolution is the voice of people who are dissatisfied because the government is not doing what government is supposed to do. So when that happens, you have problems. So I do believe that we are at a crossroads because we've put an individual in office who is purely a self-centered individual. He's purely a business person, and his idea is his own personal profit, not the profit of those people around him. He's almost in competition with anything else. This is why you cannot say anything derogatory or negative about him without getting a negative response from him. There was a time where there was a union boss in Detroit in his first election who said something to his union representatives, and the president did a negative comment on, I think he was still on Twitter at the time, got into a Twitter war with a union boss. Here's the most powerful man on the planet getting into a Twitter war like a teenager with a union boss. You know, So we don't have an individual who's considering what's good for the people. We have an individual considering what's good for him in business. And the business owners, those people sat behind him during that inauguration, they're all in it as well, seeing what they can get out of this pie called America.
But the MAGA people who voted for him see this as their revolution.
Yes.
Dissatisfied with government. It's been wrong for too long. It's broken, needs fixing, and some people are going to get hurt along the way. And it's okay if one or two of my family members or friends get hurt, because for the long term, it's going to be better for us.
That is the concept that the MAGA group is working with. And if you notice, a lot of their philosophical thoughts and ideas are very antiquated. You know, it is like I heard this radio personality, I forgot what his name is, you might have been looking him up, actually said education should be primarily done for white males. He made the statement. And now we hear that, what's taking place, you know, within the country. It is about those who they perceive will be able to provide the most as far as a financial wherewithal is concerned. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, business, not government. Government purpose is to make sure people have what they need in order to function.
So how have we strayed so far away from that? Because it seems to me like that definition applies only to the few folk that this current administration wants it to apply to, which is uber wealthy, often white and male. So is that the only people that they want government to work for? Because now they're even saying women don't need to vote. Women should just follow the lead of their husband. So this really is about white, wealthy men. This is the government that they want?
What did Maya Angelou say? When they show you who they are?
Believe them the first time.
Believe them.
Yeah.
Because, yes, that is their purpose, is to provide what they can for those of the 1%. Yeah. That is business's purpose. That is its goal. And this nation is a very wealthy nation, and those individuals who would like to get wealthier are finding ways to do just that.
And before we go to break, Victor, that same guy, and I'm going to try to find his name, Will. You might know his name. Aaron, I see you, bro. I'm going to catch you on the other side of the break. He even said the rationale behind why he said women don't need to vote is their sole job is to procreate, and it doesn't take any skill to
1850s.
To procreate. But then I was trying to figure out if he thought it took skill for him to help her procreate. It don't take skill. Like you could literally shoot an adult and you're liable to hit something. So it don't take skill. No. So I don't understand how the argument works for women, but it's falling deaf on men, because if that is your definition, then it don't take skill either way. Because he literally said anybody can, like, that's what he said. Like, it doesn't take any expertise, any skills to carry a baby, make a baby, that kind of thing in terms of women.
Yeah.
They want the women to just follow the lead of their
leader.
White wealthy men.
That
do what they're told.
Again, back to the 1850s. This is what this organization.
But you do know that's how they radicalize white women, right? That's how white women became the catalyst for what they've done in terms of all of the destruction that goes on in this country, because they had no voice in their homes. And so when they felt a little power by disservicing people who they felt like were less than them, that's how they radicalized white women, in my opinion. Stripping them of their humanity in their own homes and making them only follow what they say should be done. Speak when spoken to.
A Stepford Wives kind of mentality.
They radicalized them that way. I mean,
that was Pastor Doug Wilson from Idaho.
Okay.
We got to go to
Church.
break.
But the thing about it, it wasn't just that he said it. It was that Pete Hegseth posted it.
Oh, yeah, he shared it.
You know,
he reshared it, yes.
Yeah,
he shared it. And we're going to talk, because I think that's how white women got radicalized in terms of this whole power dynamic over folk who they felt like were beneath them. This is why you had them lying about being touched by black men when they weren't touched by black men, because they wanted to use their husbands or the system as a weapon to be able to garner some of the power that they felt was stripped away from them. Hurt people, and I think this is how they radicalize them, because you don't have a voice. But I mean, we could talk about it. Aaron, I see you, brother. I'm gonna catch you on the other side. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
I mean, you see where I'm going with it.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Hot and muggy day again, but we could see a few more clouds as we head throughout the day. We are expecting some scattered showers and an increased chance for rain, especially as we get into the afternoon. Some of those could include some heavy downpours. Highs today will be into the upper 80s and the lower 90s, feeling a lot hotter than that. As you get to the end of the week, though, drying out with temperatures into the mid to upper 90s by the weekend. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Got unpaid parking or camera tickets in New Orleans? Here's some good news. Through August 31st, you can take care of them without paying late fees. That's money back in your pocket. Just go to NOLA.gov/no late fees to see what you owe. You can pay all at once or sign up for a payment plan and break it into monthly payments at no extra cost. That's NOLA.gov/no late fees. NOLA.gov/no late fees. Don't miss out. This offer ends August 31st.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. If you are just joining us, we are in some deep waters of psychology with the one and only Victor Sims. Can't nobody break it down and make it make sense like he does. But we have a caller on line one by way of my brother Aaron. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're good. How are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Y'all know first shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable and the Hippie Newton Gun Club. That Maya Angelou quote about when people show you who they are, believe them, right?
Yes.
At what point us as a people is going to start believing the people that we keep on throwing our support behind? And, you know, before I get started, I know this is going to hurt a lot of people, but, I mean, reality does not lie, right? As it comes to the vote, right? And I'm not against voting, like I always say. I'm just against making it seem like voting is our only way out of our current situation, because, you know, some of us has been voting, you know, for years and years and years, and yet we steady getting the same game, just different characters. So it's like when it comes to our issues and our communities, we supposed to be quiet and focus on everybody else's situations and be, you know, kind of silent about ours. I believe the same effort that we take in having these voter what they call those things, like the little meetings or whatever, we need to have those same entities and start teaching our people in our community about how to do for self. Because the more we keep on teaching our people that we got to go out with this so-called American dream. Listen, we are the only race of people in this country, in this world, really, that had to have so-called legislation for us to somewhat live what they call free. And I say so-called because when you look at some of the laws that was passed for us to live free, you have to ask yourself, did it really work? You look at affirmative action that was done before I even got here, but yet in 2025, we still hearing about the first black this and the first black that. So if affirmative action done what it was supposed to do, why still to this day we started hearing about, again, the first black this and the first black that. So it's things that we need to teach our community about doing for self, because listen, ain't nobody coming to save us. We trying this one thing, this one monolithical thing over and over again, and we really not reaping the benefits. Now, we may progress in certain areas, but it's like the further we progress, like you say, brother Victor, they push the goalpost and move the goalpost back. But yet, like Sister Maya Angelou say, when people show us who they are, we got to believe them. But what we do, instead of believing who they showing us, we try to still find the good in those people, but yet they come right back around and let us down again with vote for me, get me in, we get you in, and then when we say, you promise you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, look, I ain't going to do that right now, but when I get reelected, then I'm going to do it, right? Prime example. And I voted for Kamala Harris. I just want to put that clear. You heard me? And I took a picture of it, so anybody want to refute that, I got the evidence to show. When Kamala Harris was running, right, she said, I'm going to fix everything that's broken when I get up in there in day one. But when Joe Biden was in there, if everything was so good, why this sister got to come and fix everything on day one? So that means there was a problem somewhere. I'm quite sure everybody's seen the interview where she said the other day about the system being broken. You dig? So it's like we constantly see what these people are doing, but yet we seeing the tricks and the games they playing, but we not believing them because we keep on looking for the good and the best interest in them. But it's our community that's suffering. Look at our communities, look at our schools, and look at our neighborhoods, and you tell me who actually winning out here. I'm going to hang up and listen, y'all.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
A great deal of what he says is accurate. Now, one of the things that I do believe in the vote. I do believe in the vote because I believe the vote changed a great deal of our society. And I do believe that it was recognized by the other side what was transpiring. So now there's a big push to reverse this. This is why you heard Doc mention that there's individuals even talking about removing the vote from women. Why would you consider removing something if you didn't think it was some kind of a threat to you in the first place? One of the biggest problems we have in our country, we don't have enough people voting. I'm believing that we had 80 to 85% of individuals who are registered voters vote, we would drastically change the society. The first time Donald Trump ran for election, 49% of registered Democrats did not vote. 49% did not vote. That's how he got into office. When you don't get involved, the way this country was put together was that vote was the voice of the people being able to control the government. If you have an elected official who knows the majority of the people he or she represents is against them, you will see them change their opinion, change their mind, change their behavior. Because if they don't, we will change that seat. But if we don't vote, and one of the biggest bamboozles that's been taking place, people have the impression that my vote doesn't count because I didn't get what I wanted when I did vote. No, you might not have gotten the person you wanted in, but you participated. And that means you get even more participation. How many people show up at city council meetings? How many people show up at legislative gatherings? How many people show up at school board meetings? We need to get involved. Yeah. If you want this thing to change, you can't sit back on the sideline and then not want to change. Not that you, my brother, because from what you said, you got involved. You voted. Get more people like you to get involved. Have conversations with your neighbors, with your fellow people, to gather about the way the government is going, whether it's local, state, or federal. Get them together in groups of people to decide how they're going to handle who they're going to vote for. When these candidates have forums, be there.
Speaking of Victor Sims, I need to say this before we go. I appreciate you for being here as always. We gave you a whole hour and it still don't feel like enough time, huh, Victor? Sure. I always want you to be here, but you're talking about voting and you're talking about forums, and I need to make our listening audience aware of the upcoming forums. On last night, Step Up for Action held its last City Council District A. That was the last of the forums for Step Up for Action. That took place virtually. City Council District A, that's a seat being vacated by Joe Russo, so it's an open seat. And 5 candidates are in the race, but 3 of them were present for the forum, which is Ms. McCarron, Ms. Mossing, and Mr. Morrell. All 3 of them, 2 other people are also on the ballot, but they did not appear at the forum, but that forum took place last night virtually. So I want to say shout out to Step Up for Action for putting together those forums to inform our voting populace. But there is a slew of forums coming up hosted by the Urban League, and it's called By the People, a civic stage for candidates, communities, and consequences. And on tonight is City Council Seat A. It is happening at Loyola University in Nunmaker Hall, which is going to be at 7 p.m. So City Council District A is tonight, 7 p.m. at Loyola University. And on Friday, the 15th, Council at Large Division 2 is taking place at 7 p.m. at McDonough 35 Senior High School. Council District C is taking place Tuesday, August the 19th at 7 p.m. at L.B. Landry High School. City Council District D is taking place August the 20th, Dillard University at 7 p.m. Council Seat District E, August the 25th, 7 p.m. at Franklin Avenue Baptist Church. Council at Large Division 1, September 3rd, 7 p.m. at Ashe Cultural Arts Center. And then the Orleans Parish Assessor is September 5th, 7 p.m. at Ashe Cultural Arts Center. And it will culminate with the mayoral debate taking place on September 9th at 7 p.m. at Xavier University of Louisiana in the Convocation Center. You can go to urbanleaguela.org to get a list of those forums, the dates, and the times. It seems every forum is starting at 7 p.m. The place will change, but every forum is 7 p.m. And again, you can go to urbanleaguela.org for more information there. And Victor talked about bringing people to vote and getting out to vote. Early voting starts September 27th. It ends October 4th. Election day is October 11th. Victor, I'll give you the last word about the importance of voting. And could you please encourage the people to not only go vote, but to bring somebody with them?
Yes. From a psychological standpoint on government is controlled literally by the people. But if we do not get out and vote, that is your voice. That is your method of telling everyone what you want to do. If you sit on the sideline, you're allowing those individuals other than yourself to control your world. Some people say, well, I'm not into government. Well, it tells me, oh, I'm not into politics. Well, politics is into you. Everything that you see in your city, every park, every street, every school is controlled by governmental process. You have the right to get involved in that, and the vote gives you that right. Please get out, vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's up to you, but to vote. Because if enough of us vote, we will change the direction of our city, our state, and our nation. But we have to get involved.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. I want to also thank Daisy Reyes from the Municipal ID Program and Kalita Lloyd, the Director of the Office of Human Rights and Equity, by way of the Mayor's Office. They came to us talking about that Crescent City ID program, and y'all know he's still right here in the studio. I want to thank our partner and our friend, Victor Sims, for joining us this morning, talking about the psychology of business versus the psychology of government. You're always welcome back here, sir, because you break it down so plain and you make it digestible for people to understand those big terms on a micro level. So I appreciate you for being here. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch with Braylon and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta White, my co-host Will Sutton, and our super producer Nyron Sanders. We're going to see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.